system of government was set up consisting of an assembly with representatives from each county of the colony acting as a legislative branch, and a governor, Penn, acting as the chief executive. This would be a good government, one that had fair, lenient punishments for criminals, not the brutal punishments for petty theft that you saw in England. In fact, the only crime that should carry the death penalty should be premeditated, cold-blooded murder. The trials would be held publicly too. Above all, anyone who believed that Jesus was the Son of the one true God was free to practice any form of religion they pleased. That was the most important part. Great things would come from this place. 'Tis a good country. With a good conscience, it will do well. Quakers had a lot of reason to leave England and come to the New World, given that they were treated as second-class citizens across the pond. Penn made sure they knew that a religious safe haven was available over here. He also spread the word around the European mainland and attracted another religious sect from the Germanic regions, Mennonites, who were similarly mistreated like the Quakers and Puritans. Those people even set up something called the Frankfurt Company back in Europe, whose goal was to buy land from Penn and move Mennonites onto that land. Mennonites indeed moved into PA. The Mennonites are not to be confused with the Amish, however. Those are two different groups that came at two different times. Although there were a lot of Swedish and Dutch and German people, there were also a lot of English people, and the other cultures melted in, adopting English more than any other language to use on a daily basis. Penn talked boundaries with the Duke of York, up in New York Colony. He managed to get Newcastle and a 12-mile radius of land surrounding it, and he made sure that his colony got control of the river all the way to Delaware Bay, so they had better control and access to trade from it. He agreed to pay 5 shillings rent for this land to the Duke every year. The first General Assembly meeting happened in 1681, over a year before Penn arrived. They started making some laws. First off, Indians were to get fair treatment under the law. In fact, if anyone wronged an Indian, they would face the same legal penalty as if they had wronged a colonist. As far as land settlement goes, they wanted land to be put to use. If settlers go a certain number of years without planting crops on their land, the government would be allowed to settle a new family on that land who would plant it. They established rules for the assembly to operate by, as well as prerequisites for assembly members. They must be at least 21 years old, must confess belief in Jesus and God, and must own at least 100 acres of land. It was agreed on that people who derided others on the basis of religion should be looked on as disturbers of the peace, that taking the Lord's name in vain should be illegal, and nobody should do any work on the Sabbath day. Marriage required parental permission as well as an application to the state, and widows and widowers would not be allowed to remarry within a year of their spouse's death. Selling alcohol to Indians was still finable. Courts and appeals courts were also established, as well as public schools, and it was made a rule that all children must learn how to read and write by 12 years old. Finally, everyone who believed in Jesus Christ got freedom to worship however they want, or not to worship. Also, some place names got shuffled around. Upland, the Swedish name for the Swedish town, got changed to Chester, an English name. Also, the city of Philadelphia was named by William Penn himself, and it was decided that the city should occupy an area of 2 miles by 1 mile. The colony was in business. Remember that Calvert guy, Lord of Baltimore? Well, 1682 was a busy year. His son, the new Lord Baltimore, picks this year to pop up north and ask the Pennsylvanians about where his colony's northern border was. He had a piece of paper from 1632 signed by the king saying that the colony of Maryland extended to a part of the Delaware Bay laying under the 40th degree. He writes a letter to the people who seem to be in charge. He waits for a response, then gets fussy. He decides to personally make a trip north with 40 armed men and demand that someone negotiate with him where his border is. William Markham, the guy who was in charge until Penn's ship landed, got the job of talking to him. Markham essentially said, "Our governor isn't here yet, he'll be here soon, please take these nice-looking soldiers back down south and we'll let you know when he gets here." Baltimore essentially replied, "No." Markham said to him, "Look dude, my boss is sailing over, he'll get here soon, and if I try to negotiate with you, he'll be mad at me, and he'll be coming to bug you some more because any deal I make with you now will be illegitimate. I don't want a gunfight over some stupid 40th parallel. Please take your soldiers down south and William Penn will be around to deal with this when his ship lands." Baltimore still wasn't content.